Hi there, it's Rachel from Rachel Scraps Crochet, and I have a video for you today where I'm going to show you how I added these laces on my crochet football pattern. So this ball is made with regular acrylic yarn, and it's pretty much the size of a real football. And I used a 4mm hook for this one. And the ball that I'm going to show you the video with today, I used a 3.5mm hook, so it's just a little smaller than this ball. Now the pattern is going to be available on my Etsy store, so I'm going to put a link in the video description below. And now in the pattern it shows to place the stitch marker. This is a center point of the ball from one point to another, but it's not necessarily the center point between the partial laces or the partial bands. So in a football and in the pattern it says you can make the ball without any bands at all, so you can just do all brown. Or you can do a full white band around the end. Or you can do what this one has, and that's just a partial band. And it's pretty much half the ball. So we're going to do the directions for the adding the laces based on the partial bands. So with the partial bands, and in the pattern, for the whole ball, I show putting the stitch marker. Now we're going to move it over a little bit because when we find the center point of these laces or these bands, the stitch marker is probably going to be in the way a little bit. So as long as you keep it in this space between these same two rounds, just move it down, then we are good. The reason for this stitch marker is that it kind of helps you make sure that your laces are placed evenly. On this ball, and of course I took the stitch marker out, but the stitch marker ends up being located in this space right between the laces. So every lace has a space in between. So we're going to sew into a space between two rounds, and then there's going to be an empty space. So it's every other. And the stitch marker that I have you place in the pattern goes right in between all 8 laces. So a regular football has 8 laces. So that's what I did for the pattern, and that's the middle. I'm going to locate the center of these partial bands, and you want to look at your ball. That's the end round. So I'm going to go first by the round that your magic ring is on, and we are going to find the center point based on this first round of white here. So we're going to count each stitch up, and we're going to do it's 7 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 is an increase stitch. 5, 6, 7. So that's the middle. Right between, and then verify on the other side it's the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, the increase. 5, 6, 7. So that is the middle point there, you can see. So we're just going to follow it up to the end of the white band. There's a center still, and we're going to count up 3 rounds. So 1, 2, 3. So that right there is our first point. To start this, we don't want to put our needle in here first because we want to tie a knot somewhere else. So I'm just going to kind of put my fingernail. You could use a different like needle or pin or something to mark that. So just go in a different stitch and come out that stitch that we just found. And pull your yarn through. Now I'm using 4 feet or 48 inches about of yarn. So you can basically just hold it in one hand and then stretch the yarn across, just regular white yarn. It's the same white I used for the bands. You can just hold it out, stretch it across both your arms, and kind of go by that for a measurement. Leave the tail hanging out. And we're going to find the point on the opposite side. So this is the long vertical band that goes down the ball. So on this side, and this is the side with the closing round, we are going to count this top row of stitches here. And it's 9 up from either side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to go by the stitch that's right between the two. And I'm going to count 9 on the other side, just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's that little stitch between the 9th on both sides of the white. I have this stitch here, and then this round 1, 2, 3. We're going to mark the space here. Now because the stitches with increases and decreases sometimes make it look a little funny. We can always pull this across and just kind of make sure that you like the placement when you first go in that stitch. Center point 1, 2, 3. Of course, you could deal with this stitch or this stitch here. So there's technically two that it could in theory be, because they're going in the space between stitches. We're not trying to shove it in between the stitches itself. So you can line that yarn down and kind of see that you like how it lines up with this little stitch down here. And then when you are done going all the way through, because we're going to go from this point back to the first point. And of course, if you have a really long yarn needle, that's helpful. And back out the same point again, because we're going to double up this band. So we pull it through. And then once that long vertical stitch is in there, you can kind of hold the ball back and look and make sure that you like how it looks. And if you don't feel like it's straight, you can always like change and move over that other one. Of course, the way crochet stitches slant sometimes, they're not always, because we're working in a spiral, they're not always perfectly straight or even or all that. So you can kind of get a feel for it and decide if you like how it looks. If you feel like it's going to the side one way or the other too much, just move it to the next stitch over. This one's kind of like the main like setup of the laces. So making sure that that's straight is pretty important. So right now we have just one lace going across and we want two. So we're going to do the same thing we just did. Go through those 2 points again. There. So normally you would come out this stitch here, but we are going to go right into making this first little lace that goes across. So instead of coming out that main stitch, we are going to count up 1 round and then over 2. And I will show you. So instead of coming out this point, we are going to move to the round above and up 2. So right here. Pull that out. So you can see this was the original. Instead of coming out that same round that the long vertical lace is in, we went up to the next space and then over 2 stitches from it. And pull that straight. And that is going to be, and you can kind of even everything out, adjust everything. So that is going to be this point for this first short lace that goes across. Because like I said, see here, this one is lower. It's not, we're not stitching across this. We're going up. So we're going to go across, and since we went skip 1 to go over that, or 2 over, we're going to go 2 over on the other side. Now we're going to go into this point here, because see there's 1 here. We're going to skip that and go here. And now, like I showed you on this ball, there is a space in between every single short lace. So that's what we're going to do when we sew these ones. Instead of coming out here, because that's not skipping a space, we're going to just go in the ball, through in the ball, and out vertically that stitch that lines right up from this one, but skipping 1. And now this isn't going to necessarily be straight across these rows the whole time because of increases and decreases. So it's, you can see here, like we're not going to follow this all the way across because it goes really close. It starts turning toward the ball because of the increases and decreases. So we're just going to visually, after a while, start lining everything up. So our first lace goes across here. And now we're going to do the same thing over here. Cross it over, go into that stitch, or that space between the stitches anyway. Don't come out here. We're going to skip 1, go up 1. And that's the next one. Do the same thing. So you can see it's starting to get a little bit uneven. So if we went in the same one here, it's actually going to make it a little closer to this line than this one is. So I'm actually going to go into the next one. Instead of this one, I'm going to go over 1. And then again, up on this one, skip one, go to the next one. And now it looks really long, but what you can do is just pull it a little bit tighter, and you will never know. So again, go across, and I'm going to stay again in line with this one and then pull it a little tight. And now with this one, we can see that this one is starting to creep over close to this line here. So just kind of, I'm going to go at the next one, and then I'll pull it tight too. So we're going to kind of manipulate it a little bit to keep these laces all pretty much the same width as each other. We want it all to all look good. And you can always like adjust them as you go. And see how this one looks a little bit longer. So I'm going to pull it across like that. And just make sure I like how it looks. Just adjust it. It's just really following the guideline of where, but adjusting it to what you need it to be. So I want to show you on this where our stitch marker is. If you count up 1, 2, 3, 4 laces, this stitch marker should be in this space between the 4th and the 5th of these short laces across. And it is, it's right in the middle. That's perfect. That's exactly where we want between the 4th and the 5th to be. So if this gets in your way, you can take it out now. I'm just going to leave it because it's not bothering me. But that's the middle point. So we know we're right in line. And if you get across and you don't like how one of them looks, you can always take it out, back it up a little bit, and replace it. It doesn't have to be perfect, of course, but you can kind of make it how you want it to be. So I'm going to try this one right here, because if I do this one lined up with that one, it's just a little too short. And then if I don't like it, I can undo it. So I'm going to pull that one over that way and adjust it. Now these are actually coming out that one, but you can't tell that. See, these are actually coming out this round here. The way it was pulled tight, it looked like it was coming out this round. It wasn't. It was going up here. So we want to make sure this last one is one down from this one that these come out of. You can see it's one up. It's hard to see it on this video probably. But this, where this long vertical lace comes out, should be one up from this last 8th lace. So you just go across, put it in place where you want it. I'm gonna find that. I think I'm gonna go there. So if you like how it looks with these just being one round thick, then you can bring your needle through the ball, come back out this point, and then tie these 2 strings together and hide them in the ball. But I'm actually going to double up all my laces. So I'm going to just go backwards over all of them again. I'm going to just do a couple little adjustments first because I don't like how short that one is. So if you get to doing this, you can always adjust that. So if you don't like how one of them looks, like I said, you can always take them out. And that's the beauty. Whoops, I hit my tripod. So that's the beauty of it. I'm going to go back to that one, and I'm going to put it in a different stitch, and hopefully I actually do put it in a different stitch and not the same one again. So I thought it was a little too short, so I'm going to go out one. Just make it a little bit wider and see if I like that better. So it looks ridiculously long now. Pull it a little tighter, and now it doesn't look ridiculously long. So and now, of course, that one looks like it's over a lot, so you can kind of pull it again. It's just all about shifting them. So to make them doubled up, I'm just going to go over this top one again. And then I'm going to go backwards. So I'm going to bring my needle, make sure, like, when you're doubling it up, keep these yarns vertical each other so you don't get a bunch of X's like that. It would just look kind of weird. So keep it sew it above that one. And here you can go either above or below, it doesn't really matter, but make sure on the opposite side that you kind of follow the seam. So on the last one, we are going to sew out this beginning yarn, and we're going to make sure that it is for sure going out the same hole. Get to this part, you just cut them. I'm going to cut them the same length because they're a little bit easier to deal with, and just tie it. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.